Right now, the Australian government has handed down the 2026-27 federal budget, with a major focus on cost of living relief, healthcare, housing affordability, and long-term economic policy changes. Today we're breaking down the biggest changes in plain English with real numbers so you know exactly what changed and what it could mean for your money. Let's start with the headline most Australians will notice first: tax cuts. The government confirmed that additional income tax cuts will begin from the 1st of July 2026, the 16% tax rate applying to income between $18,201 and $45,000 will reduce to 15% from July 2026, and then fall again to 14% from July 2027 for many workers. That means extra tax savings on top of the Stage 3 tax cuts already introduced in 2024. The government says an average worker earning around $79,000 could receive an additional tax cut worth roughly $268 in 2026-27, increasing to around $536 annually from 2027-28. The budget also proposed a new working Australians tax offset, known as WATO, aimed at providing additional tax relief for workers in future financial years. The measure would still need to pass legislation before taking effect. Now let's move to cost of living support. Healthcare remains one of the government's biggest spending priorities. The budget includes billions in additional funding for Medicare, public hospitals, bulk billing incentives, Medicare urgent care clinics, and cheaper medicines through the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, commonly known as the PBS. Medicine costs for general patients are set to remain capped at lower levels introduced in recent reforms, while concession card holders continue receiving heavily subsidized pricing. The government says these measures are designed to reduce pressure on household budgets while improving access to healthcare services. Energy and household cost relief also remain part of the broader strategy, with previously announced electricity bill support measures continuing to flow through the economy. Housing affordability is another major focus of the budget. The government announced billions of dollars in funding for housing construction and housing-enabling infrastructure, including roads, water, sewerage, and power connections, aimed at increasing housing supply across Australia. The government is continuing support for the National Housing Accord target and broader efforts to accelerate home construction. The budget also outlined proposed future tax reform changes targeting property investment. Under the proposal, negative gearing concessions would become more limited for future property purchases, with stronger incentives directed toward new builds and affordable housing from July 2027. The government also proposed future changes to capital gains tax concessions. Existing investments are expected to remain grandfathered under current rules. These proposed reforms are not yet law and would still require legislation to pass Parliament. The government says the goal is to improve housing affordability and direct more investment toward new housing supply. Now, superannuation. The superannuation guarantee has now reached 12%, completing the long-planned increase in compulsory employer retirement contributions. And from July 2026, payday super reforms are scheduled to begin. Instead of employers paying super quarterly, contributions will need to be paid at the same time as wages. The government says this is designed to reduce unpaid super and help workers build retirement savings faster over time. Super contribution caps are also expected to continue increasing gradually over time through indexation. Now let's talk about infrastructure, energy, and defense. Defense spending continues to rise, particularly through long-term investments linked to AUKUS, maritime capability upgrades, cybersecurity, and national defense projects. The government has also committed significant funding toward fuel security and energy resilience following ongoing global supply risks and geopolitical uncertainty. At the same time, the government continues efforts to slow the growth rate of NDIS spending through administrative reforms and sustainability measures, while maintaining support for Australians living with disability. So what does this budget actually mean for Australians? If you're a worker, the government says the focus is on delivering additional tax relief, easing cost of living pressure, and supporting essential services like healthcare. If you're trying to buy a home, the government is attempting to increase housing supply and reshape some property tax incentives, although affordability and rental costs remain major challenges in cities like Sydney and Melbourne. And if you're planning for retirement, the increase to 12% super and upcoming payday super reforms could improve long-term retirement balances over time. The broader aim of the 2026-27 budget is to balance immediate cost of living relief with longer-term investment in healthcare, housing, infrastructure, energy security, and economic resilience. Whether these policies are enough to improve affordability and ease financial pressure for Australians will remain one of the biggest economic debates over the next few years. If this breakdown helped you understand what actually changed in the budget, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.